Welcome to the San Diego Archaeological Center. My name is Stephanie Sandoval, and I'm the Public Archaeology Director here. The center is a museum where you can learn the story of how people lived in San Diego County for more than 10,000 years. It also serves as an education and research facility and is the only local place dedicated to the collection, study, and management of San Diego County's archaeological artifacts. We are located here in the beautiful San Pasqual Valley in Escondido, right in the heart of the San Diego River watershed. San Pasqual Valley is full of beautiful plants and amazing creatures, but people have also lived here for a very long time. For at least the last 2,000 years, and probably much longer, indigenous people relied on the valley's resources and water from the Santa Isabel Creek that runs right through this valley. Around 1,000 years ago, the Kumeyaay people, who are indigenous to a large area of Southern California and northern Mexico, including the San Diego watershed, made this area home. Now modern agricultural preserves depend on this river valley. That's why watersheds like San Diego will always be linked to past, present, and future generations. And archaeology can help us understand how people lived here in the past. So what exactly is archaeology? Archaeology is the study of past people and culture through the objects that they left behind, whether that's thousands of years old or only 50. These objects are called artifacts. Artifacts can include tools, art, clothing, or anything made or used by humans. Each artifact is a clue to the past and can help archaeologists learn how people lived, what they ate, the jobs they did, the tools they used, and much more. When artifacts and other material remains have been left behind at a specific location, this is called an archaeological site. Did you know that there are archaeological sites all over the world, even underwater? Here in San Diego County, there are over 34,000 recorded sites, the oldest of which may be over 10,000 years old. At the most basic level, an archaeological site, anywhere in the world, is simply a place where people did something in the past. It is our job as archaeologists to figure out who those people were and what they did. Some archaeological sites are quite obvious, like the Egyptian pyramids, but many are beneath the ground's surface, so you might ask, how does that happen? Things left on the ground get buried over time. Leaves can fall on it, dust and debris blow onto it, and rain can cause dirt to cover it. Sometimes larger natural forces and disasters can cause this to happen quickly instead of over many years. Just think, after thousands of years, items left behind can be very deep in the ground. Most archaeology, at least here, is about preserving and protecting archaeological sites and other cultural resources. However, if excavation is needed to uncover a buried archaeological site, it is done in a very careful manner. Think of excavation as organized digging. Archaeologists carefully remove layers of dirt and record the precise location of any artifacts and site features. I'm sure you remember that artifacts are any items made or used by people, like arrowheads and pottery. Features consist of the unmovable parts of a site that show human activity. Think of floors, walls, and fire pits. As archaeologists excavate, they are carefully digging down through these layers, usually one at a time. Do you think the layers are older or younger the deeper you go? The further down you dig, the farther back in time you are. This is called the law of superposition, which basically states that the newer stuff is on top of the older stuff. Archaeology will use a variety of tools in excavation. The most common and well-known tool we have in our bag is the simple trowel, and many archaeologists have even more than one. Now, of course, we use lots of other tools as well: shovels, measuring tapes, paint brushes, dental picks, pen and paper. But not all of our tools are low-tech. We also use high-tech items like smartphones and tablets, GPS, drones, and ground-penetrating radar. During and after excavation, archaeologists try to determine what artifacts might have been used for as they piece together what happened at a site. Where the artifact was found, the size, shape, material type of the artifact, and even how it fits in your hand. These can all be clues to what a tool might be used for. So let's take a look at some artifacts to see if we can determine which item was used to complete important tasks from about 1,000 years ago. Which item on your tray do you think is best fitted for catching your dinner? Perhaps a deer. The projectile point, that's right. This tool is designed for hunting, and it allows you to hunt from a distance. What about smashing up some nuts and seeds? Another important feature to identify on a tool is wear patterns. As stone tools are used, the shape and texture of the tool might change, creating a wear pattern. Feel the surface of this grinding stone. Notice how smooth it is in the center compared to the edges. This surface started flat and now it's concave. That is the result of grinding. The same thing happens on the mono or handstone. A round cobblestone becomes flattened and smooth with use. Now, which item would be used to hold about 2 gallons of water? That might seem like a trick at first, but consider that you might not be seeing a complete item. After years and years in the ground, do you think everything is preserved in mint condition? Of course not. Things break, pieces get lost, and so on. So look for something that might be a part of a whole. You got it, the potsherd. Archaeologists have to do this a lot, identify an object based only on a small fragment. Now, which tool do you think would be best to scrape bark off of a branch or clean an animal hide? Scrapers come in many shapes and sizes depending on the task. The ridges you see are from flakes being removed from the rock in order to create this tool. Now you have seen and felt a few examples of how archaeologists can determine what an artifact is. Before digging into the past, visitors are greeted at the museum entrance with a fascinating but unsettling look into the future. Did you know that today's trash is tomorrow's archaeology? All of these items will be the artifacts of the future. The problem is that we are leaving way too much behind, which can cause our land and water sources to become polluted. There are more than 7.5 billion people on the planet today. We produce more durable goods, items that do not decompose and will last a very long time, than in all the years before combined. Think about how this will impact humanity and the environment in the future, including right here in this watershed. Please remember to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Much of our modern trash will last more than 1,000 years. Now let's travel back in time as you explore the museum with an archaeology quest. Search for Poppy the potsherd in some of the museum exhibits and then answer her questions. The quest will help you learn about archaeology as you navigate through the cultural periods of San Diego County, all of which are represented in our watershed. People probably moved to the San Diego region before 10,000 years ago, but the earliest archaeological sites found so far date to around 9 to 11,000 years ago. One of the most important sites found from this time was found in the San Dieguito River Valley, and thus the first archaeological period of San Diego County was named the San Dieguito tradition. Artifacts commonly found during this period include large projectile points, domed scrapers, and hammerstones. If you look, these points are way too big and heavy to be used as an arrow, and may have been used for darts or spears. Around 7,500 years ago, we see a change in the archaeological record. Named the La Jolla period after, you guessed it, the first sites discovered were located in La Jolla. However, many sites were also found near other coastal areas and lagoons. Large piles of discarded shells, called shell middens, are found at these sites as well as grinding stones. Grinding tools were used to process seeds and other plant foods, but also to crush bones of small animals to extract the marrow from inside. A very unusual object found at La Jolla tradition sites are donut stones. These are finely crafted tools that must have required hours of work. It is thought that these were used as digging stick weights or net sinkers, but honestly, archaeologists are unsure. Interestingly, donut stones are found along the California coast and the islands from San Diego to Santa Barbara. This may indicate trade, cultural similarities, or migration. What do you think donut stones might have been used for? About 3,500 years ago, another change in the archaeological record is clear. Small projectile points used for arrows and shell and bone fish hooks are found at pre-contact sites. Pre-contact refers to the time period preceding Spanish contact in 1542 when Cabrillo sailed into San Diego Bay. Mortars and pestles are found during this time, indicating an increase in acorn processing as it became a primary food source. Pottery also started to appear about 1,000 years ago. Did you know that pottery is the first synthetic or man-made material? Made of carefully selected and prepared clay, Pots were created in many different sizes and shapes, depending on the intended use. The presence of obsidian, the shiny black volcanic glass that can be extremely sharp, indicated travel and widespread trade, since there are no local sources of obsidian. The arrival of the Spanish and the establishment of the San Diego mission in 1769 changed Kumeyaay life immensely. They were forced to change their lifestyle from hunting and gathering to farming. By the time California became a state in 1850, most remaining Kumeyaay were removed from their ancestral lands and relocated to undesirable locations throughout the county. Today, the Kumeyaay live throughout the region and have 13 reservations. They keep alive traditional arts and culture as federally recognized sovereign governments. Especially here in Southern California, many of us find ourselves out and about in nature. Do you love camping and hiking? I sure do. There are many ways to enjoy the outdoors, and most people know the principles of leave no trace. These include not leaving our trash, staying on marked trails, not picking flowers, and respecting wildlife. However, did you know that this applies to archaeological finds as well? Looting is the illegal destruction of archaeological sites through the non-scientific removal of artifacts, or simply stealing artifacts. Thieves of history have been looting artifacts from archaeological sites around the world for thousands of years. So what should you do if you find an artifact? Leave it in place. If you find paintings or etchings on rocks, never touch or add paint to them. Don't climb near them. Never disturb Native American places or historic spots. If you are in a park or other public land, tell a park ranger or another official about the artifact you saw. They may want to protect it further. In short, should you keep artifacts? No. Now let's take a tour around the center to see how we preserve San Diego's past. In the research lab, center staff, along with volunteers and interns, curate archaeological collections for long-term preservation. Curation is the storage, management, and use of these collections. These valuable resources that are preserved at the center offer students and researchers the rare opportunity to work with millions of artifacts and thousands of records. This is where the 1.4 million artifacts that record the history of our region are preserved, in special boxes and organized to make it easy for researchers to find what they're looking for. Each shelf can hold up to 18,000 pounds, and you can move each shelf with only 2 fingers. Go ahead, give it a try. Thank you, Watershed Explorers, for joining me today at the San Diego Archaeological Center as you continue your journey down the watershed.